Human, my mother needs a companion, and I long for a father. Please marry her and leave with us. Dr. Marcus Chen pushed his thick glasses up his nose as he studied the data on his screen. The laboratory was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. Outside the window, 3 different suns cast colorful light across Harmony Point Station. Marcus had been working here for 2 years, studying alien plants and animals. It was good work, but sometimes lonely. A gentle knock on his door made him look up. Come in. He called. The door slid open with a soft hiss. A young alien stepped inside, and Marcus immediately recognized him as one of the Villani. The boy looked about 12 years old in human terms, though Marcus knew Villani aged differently. His skin was pale blue with silver markings along his arms. His large eyes were like crystals, reflecting the light from the suns outside. Dr. Chen, the young Villani said in perfect English. His voice was soft and polite. My name is Kethara. May I speak with you? Marcus smiled and gestured to a chair. Of course, please, sit down. What can I help you with? Kethara sat carefully, his back straight. The Villani were known for their formal behavior, but Marcus noticed something different about this boy. His crystal eyes looked sad, and his hand shook slightly. Double quotes. Dr. Chen, I have come to ask you something very important. Kethara began. He took a deep breath. I have been watching you for many weeks. I have seen how you help others, how you solve problems that seem impossible, how you make people feel better when they are sad. Marcus leaned forward, curious. That's very kind of you to say, Kethara. But what exactly do you need help with? The young Villani's eyes began to shine with tears. This surprised Marcus. The Villani rarely showed emotion in front of strangers. My family is dying, Dr. Chen, Kethara said quietly. Not from sickness, but from sadness. My father died in a mining accident 3 years ago. Since then, my mother has not been the same person. Our clan is falling apart. Soon, we will lose everything. Marcus felt his heart grow heavy. He had heard about the Villani clan system. When a clan lost its leaders, the whole family could lose their status and home. I'm very sorry about your father, Kethara. That must have been very hard for you and your mother. My mother was the smartest engineer in our sector, Kethara continued. She built the new mining systems that kept our colony safe. But after father died, she stopped working. She stopped talking to other clan leaders. She sits in her room and stares at old pictures all day. The boy wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. Our clan members are leaving one by one. They need a strong leader, but mother cannot lead anymore, and I am too young to take father's place. Marcus nodded slowly. He was beginning to understand why Kethara had come to him. What do you think I can do to help? Kethara stood up suddenly and looked directly into Marcus's eyes. Dr. Chen, I want you to marry my mother. Marcus nearly fell out of his chair. What? Kethara, I don't think you understand what you're asking. Marriage between humans and Villani is very rare, and I barely know your mother. Please, let me explain, Kethara said quickly. I have studied human customs. I know that humans are different from us. You don't follow the same rules we do. You think with your hearts as well as your minds. You can adapt to new situations quickly. The boy began to pace around the small laboratory. Our clan needs someone who can lead in a new way. Someone who can help mother remember who she used to be. Someone who can show our people that change is not always bad. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. He had never heard of such a request. Kethara, even if I wanted to help, your mother would have to agree. And she doesn't even know me. She knows about you, Kethara said with a small smile. I have told her many stories about the kind human doctor who helps everyone. She is curious about you, though she will never admit it. But why marriage specifically? Marcus asked. Why not just friendship or partnership? Kethara's expression grew serious. In Villani society, only a marriage bond can give you the authority to lead our clan. Without that bond, you would always be seen as an outsider. But if you marry mother, you would become our family's new patriarch. You could help us rebuild. Marcus rubbed his temples. This was far more complicated than any research project he had ever worked on. Kethara, what makes you think your mother would even consider this? She's grieving for your father. Because she needs hope, the boy said simply, and you humans are very good at giving hope to others. I have seen you work with the other species on this station. You don't try to change them, you just help them become better versions of themselves. Marcus walked at his window and looked out at the busy station. He could see Villani, humans, and several other species working together. It was true that humans had a talent for bringing different groups together, but this request was unlike anything he had ever heard. Dr. Chen, Kethara said softly behind him. I know this sounds strange, but I am desperate. I watch my mother getting sadder every day. I see our clan falling apart, and he paused, his voice breaking slightly. I miss having a father. I see how human fathers care for their children. I want that too. Marcus turned around to see tears flowing down the boy's face. Despite their formal culture, Kethara was still a child who missed his father and worried about his mother. I'm not asking you to love her immediately, Kethara continued. I just want you to meet her, to see if you can help her find herself again. If you can help our family become strong again. Please, Dr. Chen, will you at least consider it? Marcus looked at this brave young alien who had swallowed his pride to ask for help. He thought about his own life on the station. He was good at his work, but he had always felt like something was missing. Maybe this was his chance to make a real difference in someone's life. All right, Kethara, Marcus said finally. I'll meet your mother, but I can't promise anything beyond that. Kethara's face lit up with joy. Thank you, Dr. Chen. Thank you so much. I know you will like her, and I think she will like you too. As Marcus watched the young Villani practically skip out of his laboratory, he wondered what he had just agreed to. He was about to enter a world he knew very little about, but something deep inside told him this was the right thing to do. Little did Marcus know that this simple meeting would change not just one family, but the future of an entire civilization. 3 days after his meeting with Kethara, Marcus found himself walking through the Villani residential district of Harmony Point Station. The area was beautiful but felt empty. The buildings were tall and elegant, made of smooth white stone that seemed to glow softly, but Marcus noticed that many windows were dark, and the streets were too quiet. Kethara walked beside him, pointing out different buildings. That used to be the community center, he said, indicating a large structure with intricate carvings. All the clan families would gather there every week. Now it is mostly empty. Marcus looked around with growing concern. How many Villani families lived here before? About 300 families. Kethara replied sadly. Now there are maybe 60 left. The others moved to different colonies or joined other clans. They stopped in front of a particularly impressive building. It was taller than the others, with beautiful gardens around it. But even here, Marcus could see signs of neglect. The gardens were overgrown, and some windows had cracks. This is our clan house, Kethara said. Mother is inside. She might not want to talk much at first. She doesn't like meeting new people anymore. Marcus nodded. I understand. Take your time introducing us. They walked through the front entrance into a large hall. The walls were covered with pictures and awards. Marcus could see images of mining operations, engineering projects, and family celebrations. Everything looked impressive, but dusty, as if no one had cared for it in a long time. Kethara? A voice called from upstairs. Is that you? Yes. Mother, Kethara replied. I brought someone to meet you. The human doctor I told you about. Footsteps approached slowly on the stairs. Marcus looked up to see a Villani woman descending carefully. She was tall and graceful, with the same pale blue skin as Kethara, but marked with more silver patterns that showed her age and status. Her dark hair was pulled back simply, and she wore plain clothes instead of the decorative robes Marcus had seen other Villani leaders wear. But what struck him most were her eyes. They were the same crystal blue as her son's, but they looked tired and distant. This was clearly a person who had once been full of energy and purpose, but now seemed to be just going through the motions of living. Mother, This is Dr. Marcus Chen. Kethara said gently. Dr. Chen, this is my mother, High Engineer Nalish. Nalish studied Marcus for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was polite but cold. Dr. Chen, Kethara has told me about his conversation with you. I hope you understand that he is young and sometimes has ideas that are not practical. Marcus smiled kindly. It's an honor to meet you, Engineer Nalish. Kethara speaks of you with great respect. He's told me about your engineering work. For just a moment, something flickered in Nalish's eyes. But then the distant look returned. My work was a long time ago. Please, sit down. Kethara, bring our guests some tea. As they sat in the large living room, Marcus looked around at more pictures on the walls. He could see images of Nalish standing proudly next to huge machines, cutting ribbons at ceremony openings, and receiving awards from other Villani leaders. In many pictures, she stood next to a Villani male who must have been her husband and Kethara's father. You build the new mining systems for this sector? Marcus asked. Nalish nodded slightly. The old systems were dangerous, too many accidents. I designed machines that could work safely in dangerous areas without risking lives. She paused. Though it seems I could not prevent all accidents, Marcus understood. Her husband had died in a mining accident despite all her safety improvements. I'm very sorry for your loss. Kethara told me about his father. Vilter was a good man. Nalish said quietly. He believed in progress, in making life better for our people. She looked at a picture on the nearby table. He would be disappointed to see what has happened to our clan. Kethara returned with tea and sat down nervously. Marcus could see the boy hoping desperately that his mother and the human doctor would somehow connect. What exactly has happened to the clan system? Marcus asked. Kethara mentioned that many families are struggling. Nalish was quiet for a long moment. Then she began to speak, and Marcus could hear pain in her voice. Our society was built on traditions that worked for thousands of years. Each clan had specific roles, specific ways of doing things. The leaders passed down wisdom from generation to generation. She stood up and walked to the window. But the galaxy is changing faster than our traditions can adapt. New technologies, new political situations, other species forming alliances that we don't understand. Our old ways of making decisions are too slow. Marcus listened carefully, and the other clan leaders feel the same way. Many of them have already given up. Nalish said bitterly. They move their families to human or mixed colonies where the rules are different, where they don't have to carry the weight of ancient responsibilities. But you stayed, Marcus observed. I stayed because this is our home. She replied. Because Vilter believed we could find a way to honor our past while building a better future. But she stopped, her voice breaking slightly. I cannot see how to do it anymore. Without him, I cannot lead, and without leadership, our people scatter like leaves in the wind. Marcus began to understand the full scope of the problem. This wasn't just about one grieving family. An entire civilization was struggling to survive in a changing galaxy. What would your husband want you to do now? Marcus asked gently. Nalish turned from the window, and for the first time, Marcus saw real emotion in her eyes. He would want me to be strong, to find new solutions, to help our people adapt without losing who we are. She wiped her eyes quickly. But I am just one person. I cannot carry this burden alone anymore. Kethara spoke up softly. That's why I asked Dr. Chen to come, Mother. Humans are good at bringing people together. They know how to solve problems in new ways. Nalish looked at Marcus with new interest. Is this true? Can humans really help others find solutions when their own methods fail? Marcus thought carefully before answering. I think humans are good at looking at problems from different angles. We don't always follow traditional rules. Sometimes that helps us see possibilities that others might miss. And you would be willing to help us? Nalish asked, even though we are not your people? I believe all people deserve a chance to find their path forward, Marcus said honestly. And from what I've seen, the Villani have a lot to offer the galaxy. It would be sad to lose that wisdom. For the first time since Marcus had met her, Nalish smiled slightly. It was a small smile, but it transformed her whole face. Perhaps, she said quietly. We should talk more about this idea of Kethar. Marcus felt something shift in the room. The first small bridge had been built. Now he needed to learn if it could support the weight of everything that would follow. 2 weeks had passed since Marcus's first meeting with Nalish. He had been visiting the clan house every few days, always bringing small gifts, human coffee, books about Earth, or interesting rocks from his research trips. Each visit, Nalish seemed a little more willing to talk. Today was different. Kethar had sent an urgent message asking Marcus to come quickly. When he arrived at the clan house, he found both mother and son in the main hall, surrounded by papers and looking frustrated. Dr. Chen, thank goodness you're here, Kethar said, running up to him. We have a big problem, and the clan council wants to meet today to make an important decision. Marcus looked at the papers scattered across the table. They appeared to be technical drawings and reports. What kind of problem? Nalish looked up from her work. Over the past 2 weeks, she had started wearing her formal engineering robes again, and her hair was styled in the traditional Vellani way. She looked more like the leader she used to be, but Marcus could see stress in her eyes. The mining colony on Velkara 3 is in trouble, she explained. Their main extraction system is failing. If they cannot fix it soon, the entire colony will have to be abandoned. 3,000 Vellani families will lose their homes. Marcus sat down at the table. What's wrong with the system? The machines are old, Nalish said, pointing to a technical drawing. They were designed 20 years ago for different conditions, but the planet's core has shifted, creating new challenges. The traditional repair methods are not working. Kethar added, the worst part is that 5 other colonies have the same problem. If we cannot solve it here, all of them might fail. Marcus studied the drawings. Even with his scientific background, the Vellani technology was complex and unfamiliar. What does the clan council want to do? Nalish's expression grew dark. They want to evacuate all the colonies and move everyone to human or mixed settlements. They say it is the practical solution. But you don't agree. These colonies are our heritage, Nalish said firmly. Each one represents hundreds of years of Vellani culture and achievement. If we abandon them, we lose part of ourselves forever. Marcus could see the passion returning to her voice. This was the brilliant engineer that Kethar had described, fighting to save her people's way of life. Is there time to try a different approach before the council meeting? Marcus asked. Maybe 3 hours, Nalish replied. But I have been working on this problem for weeks. I cannot see a solution that follows proper Vellani engineering protocols. Marcus smiled. What if we don't follow the protocols? Both Vellani stared at him. What do you mean? Nalish asked. In human engineering, we often combine old systems with new ideas in ways that weren't originally planned. Marcus explained. We call it improvisation. Sometimes the best solutions come from mixing different approaches. Nalish looked uncertain. That sounds risky. What if it makes things worse? What if it makes things better? Marcus countered gently. Right now, the traditional approach isn't working. Maybe it's time to try something new. Kethar looked between his mother and Marcus. Could you show us what you mean? Marcus pulled out his tablet and connected it to their display system. Let me look at this from a human perspective. We don't always follow the original design rules. We ask different questions. For the next hour, Marcus worked with Nalish, asking questions that she had never considered. Instead of asking, how do we repair this system according to protocol, he asked, what if we change how the system works entirely? Look at this, Marcus said, pointing to the display. Your extraction machines are trying to work against the planet's core shift. What if we made them work with it instead? Nalish frowned. That would require completely rethinking the basic operation principles. Exactly. Marcus said, in human engineering, we often discover that our biggest problems become our biggest advantages if we look at them differently. Slowly, Nalish began to engage with the new approach. Marcus watched as her brilliant mind started working in ways it never had before. She began sketching new designs, combining her deep knowledge of Vellani technology with Marcus's suggestions for flexible thinking. This could actually work, she said, her voice growing excited. If we modify the core extractors to move with the planet's shift instead of fighting it, they would be more efficient than the original design. Kethara was watching his mother with amazement. I haven't seen her this excited about engineering in years, he whispered to Marcus. As they worked together, Marcus noticed something wonderful happening. Nalish was not just solving a technical problem, she was rediscovering her love for innovation. The grief and doubt that had clouded her mind for so long were being replaced by the joy of creation. We need to test this theory, Nalish said, now moving around the room with energy Marcus had never seen from her. But the simulations look promising, very promising. There's something else, Marcus added. This solution doesn't just work for Velkara 3. If we're right, it could be adapted for all the failing colonies. Nalish stopped and stared at him. You mean we could save all of them with the right team and the right approach? Yes, Marcus said, but it would require clan leaders to work together in new ways. They would have to trust methods they've never used before. For a moment, doubt returned to Nalish's eyes. The other leaders will never accept such radical changes. They prefer traditional approaches. Then show them it works, Marcus suggested. Present the solution at today's meeting. Prove that innovation can honor the past while building the future. Kethara spoke up. Mother, remember what Father always said. Progress means taking the best of what we know and making it better. Nalish looked at her son, then at Marcus, then at the new designs they had created together. Something had changed in her expression. The defeated look was gone, replaced by determination and hope. You are right, she said firmly. Both of you. It is time to show our people that we can adapt without losing ourselves. She began gathering the papers and preparing for the council meeting. But then she stopped and looked at Marcus seriously. Dr. Chen, would you come with me to the meeting? The council needs to hear these ideas from both of us, this partnership. It works well. Marcus felt his heart warm. I would be honored, Nalish SH. As they prepared to leave for the council meeting, Kethara grinned at Marcus. I told you she just needed someone to remind her how amazing she is. Marcus realized that in helping Nalish rediscover her abilities, he had found something he hadn't expected, a true intellectual and emotional partnership. The formal marriage proposal seemed less strange now and more like the natural next step in something that was already growing between them. The real test would come at the council meeting, where they would have to convince an entire leadership structure to embrace change. But for the first time since this adventure began, Marcus felt truly confident they could succeed. The Villani Council chamber was an impressive sight. 12 high-backed chairs formed a circle around a central platform, each one occupied by a clan leader wearing formal robes. The walls were covered with ancient symbols representing thousands of years of Villani tradition. Marcus felt very small as he and Nalish walked to the center of the room. Kethara sat in the visitors section, giving Marcus an encouraging smile. But most of the council members looked at the human with suspicion and confusion. It was clear they were not happy about his presence. Elder Tashval, the oldest council member, spoke first. His voice was cold and formal. High Engineer Nalish, we understand you wish to present an alternative to our evacuation plan. But why have you brought this outsider to our sacred council chamber? Nalish stood straight and proud. Honored elders, Dr. Marcus Chen has helped me develop a solution that could save all our threatened colonies. His insights have been valuable to this process. Insights from a human, scoffed Elder Krishna, a stern woman with silver hair. What could someone from another species possibly understand about Villani engineering? Marcus felt the tension in the room, but Nalish stepped forward confidently. Please allow us to show you what we have discovered. She activated the chamber's display system and began presenting their new mining approach. Marcus watched as the council members studied the technical drawings. Some looked interested, but others seemed to grow more skeptical with each explanation. This design violates basic safety protocols, Elder Vashmer interrupted. You're suggesting we allow our machines to move with planetary shifts, instead of maintaining stable positions. That is against everything we have learned about safe mining. But Elder Vashmer, Nalish replied patiently, "Our traditional methods are not working. The planets have changed. We must adapt our methods too." "Adapt," Elder Tashrival's voice rose with anger. "You mean abandon our ways? These new methods you speak of came from this human. Did they not? How do we know they will not destroy our machines entirely?" Marcus could see that Nalish was getting frustrated. The council was not listening to the technical merits of their solution. They were more concerned about maintaining traditional approaches than solving the actual problem. "Honored elders," Marcus spoke for the first time. "May I address your concerns?" Several council members looked shocked that the human had dared to speak directly to them. Elder Kreshna stood up angrily. "You have no right to speak in this chamber, outsider. These are Villani matters for Villani leaders to decide." "But Elder Kreshna," Cathar called out from the visitors section, "Dr. Chen is not trying to replace our ways. He is trying to help us save them." "Silence, child," Elder Tashrival commanded. "You should not have brought this problem to a human in the first place. It shows disrespect for our traditions." Marcus watched as the situation grew more heated. The elders were so focused on maintaining their traditional authority that they were refusing to consider solutions that could save thousands of Villani families. This was exactly the kind of rigid thinking that was destroying their civilization. Suddenly, an alarm began sounding throughout the chamber. A young Villani technician rushed in. Looking terrified, "Elders, urgent message from Velkar 3. The main extraction system has completely failed. The colony is requesting immediate evacuation. They say they have maybe 6 hours before the entire infrastructure collapses." The council chamber erupted in worried voices. Elder Tashrival demanded, "Silence. This confirms what we already knew. Traditional evacuation is the only safe option." "No," Nalish said firmly. "This is exactly why we need to try the new approach. We can still save the colony if we act quickly." "Absolutely not," Elder Kreshna declared. "We will not risk making the situation worse with untested methods." Marcus realized this was the moment that would determine everything. The council was about to condemn thousands of families to lose their homes because they were too afraid to try something new. "Elders," Marcus said, stepping forward despite their disapproval, "I understand your concerns about trusting an outsider, but right now, you have two choices. You can evacuate and definitely lose the colony, or you can try our solution and possibly save it." "The human speaks sense," said a quiet voice from the council. Marcus looked up to see Elder Melvin, a younger council member who had been silent. "Until now, what do we truly risk by attempting this repair? If it fails, we evacuate anyway. If it succeeds, we save our people's homes." Elder Tashrival glared at him. "Melvin, you forget the importance of proper procedure. We cannot simply— Proper procedure is not working," Nalish interrupted, her voice filled with passion. "For months, we have followed proper procedure while our colonies failed one by one. My husband died following proper procedure. But he also taught me that sometimes proper procedure must change to meet new challenges." The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew how much Velter had been respected by the council. Elder Melvin stood up. "I propose we allow High Engineer Nalish and Dr. Chen to attempt their repair solution. We lose nothing by trying, and we might save everything." "I second the proposal," called another voice. Elder Kerwell, a middle-aged engineer, also stood. "I have reviewed their technical plans. The theory is sound." Elder Kreshna looked furious. "This is madness. We are allowing emotions and desperate hope to override thousands of years of wisdom." "Sometimes," Marcus said gently, "wisdom means knowing when to trust new ideas." The council took a formal vote. 7 members voted to allow the rescue attempt. 5 voted against. It was enough, but barely. Elder Tashrival stood stiffly. "Very well. You have permission to attempt this experiment. But if it fails, High Engineer Nalish, you will take full responsibility for any consequences." Nalish nodded. "I accept that responsibility." As they left the chamber, Marcus could see the enormous pressure Nalish was under. If their solution failed, she would be blamed for making the disaster worse. But if they did nothing, the colony was definitely lost. "Are you sure about this?" Marcus asked quietly as they hurried to the communications center. Nalish looked at him with determination. Dr. Chen, 3 weeks ago I was ready to give up on everything. You helped me remember who I used to be. Now I must prove that change and tradition can work together. Cathar caught up with them, his eyes shining with pride. Mother, Father would be so proud of you right now. As they began coordinating the rescue effort, Marcus realized this was more than just a test of their engineering solution. This was a test of whether the Villani could learn to embrace the future without losing their past. And everything depended on the next few hours. The communication center was buzzing with activity. Engineers from 6 different colonies were connected through video screens, all watching as Marcus and Nalish prepared to guide the most important repair operation in recent Villani history. The clock showed they had less than 4 hours before Velkara 3's infrastructure would collapse completely. Connection established with Colony 3, reported the technician. On the main screen, they could see Chief Engineer Rathavan, who looked exhausted and worried. Behind him, emergency lights flashed as workers hurried to evacuate non-essential personnel. High Engineer Nalish, Rathavan said urgently, "We are honored by your attention, but the situation is very bad. The main extractor is shaking apart. We have never seen anything like this." Nalish leaned forward, her voice calm but determined. "Chief Rathavan, we are going to try a new approach. It will seem strange, but I need you to trust me." Marcus watched as she began explaining their modified extraction method. Her confidence was impressive, but he could see tension in her shoulders. Everything they had worked for depended on the next few hours. "You want us to do what?" Rathavan's voice rose in disbelief. "Allow the extractors to move with the planetary shifts. That goes against every safety protocol we know, Chief." Marcus stepped into view of the camera. "Sometimes the safest path is the one that seems most dangerous. Your current approach is definitely failing. Our approach might succeed." Rathavan looked between the human and Nala's SH. "High Engineer, if this goes wrong, you evacuate just as you plan," Nalish said firmly. "But if it works, 3,000 families keep their homes. Will you try?" After a long pause, Rathavan nodded. "Tell us what to do." For the next 2 hours, Marcus and Nalish guided the colony engineers through the most complex technical operation either of them had ever attempted. They had to modify extraction equipment in real time, reroute power systems, and coordinate with the planet's natural movements. Marcus found himself amazed at how well he and Nalish worked together. She understood the technical details perfectly, while he helped find creative solutions when problems arose. They completed each other's thoughts and built on each other's ideas in ways that felt natural and effortless. "Power coupling is in place," Rathavan reported, "but the extractors are still shaking violently." "That's normal," Nalish assured him. "Now we implement the movement algorithm. Let the machines work with the planet instead of against it." On their screens, they watched as the massive extraction equipment began to change its operation pattern. Instead of fighting the planetary movements, the machines started to flow with them. Like dancers following music, slowly, incredibly, the violent shaking began to decrease. The extraction rate, which had been dropping for weeks, started to climb. The emergency lights on Velkara 3 changed from red to yellow to green. "It's working," Rathavan shouted through the communication system. "The extractors are running smoother than they have in months." "How did you know this would work?" Marcus smiled at Nalish. Sometimes the best solutions come from combining different ways of thinking. But their celebration was interrupted by urgent calls from other colonies. Word of their success had spread quickly, and 5 other settlements with similar problems were requesting immediate help. "We cannot handle them all at once," Nalish said, looking overwhelmed. "Even with this new method, each colony needs individual attention." Marcus had an idea. "What if we don't try to handle them all ourselves? What if we teach other engineers to use this approach?" "You mean share the method?" Nalish looked uncertain. "But what if they make mistakes? What if they blame us for problems?" "Then we help them fix those problems too," Marcus replied. "Leadership isn't about controlling everything. It's about empowering others to succeed." Over the next several hours, they began training engineers from other colonies in their new approach. Marcus watched as Nalish discovered something wonderful about herself. She was not just a brilliant engineer, but also a gifted teacher. Her ability to explain complex concepts clearly, combined with her new flexibility in thinking, made her an ideal leader for this kind of collaborative work. One by one, the failing colonies began reporting success. Each operation went more smoothly than the last as the engineering teams learned to trust the new methods. By the end of the day, all 6 threatened colonies were stable and running more efficiently than they had in years. But more importantly, something had changed in how the Villani engineers worked together. They were sharing ideas across colonies, adapting the new methods for different situations, and building on each other's innovations. Elder Melton called from the council chamber. "Hi, Engineer Nalish. The council wishes to speak with you immediately." Marcus and Nalish returned to the council chamber, where they found a very different atmosphere than before. Even Elder Tashaval, who had been most opposed to their ideas, looked impressed. "Hi, Engineer Nalish." Elder Tashaval began formally. "The council acknowledges that your unconventional methods have achieved remarkable success. We have voted to adopt these collaborative approaches as official policy for all Villani colonies." Elder Kreshina, who had been their strongest opponent, stood up. "I was wrong to dismiss your ideas so quickly. This day has shown me that wisdom can come from unexpected sources." She looked directly at Marcus. "Dr. Chen, the council formally invites you to serve as an advisor to our engineering efforts." Marcus bowed respectfully. "I am honored by your trust." But Elder Melton smiled. "Actually, Dr. Chen, we have a different proposal. High Engineer Nalish has requested permission to formalize our partnership with you. Through marriage bonds, the council unanimously approves this union." Marcus looked at Nalish in surprise. She stepped closer to him, her crystal eyes shining. With emotion, "Marcus," she said softly, using his first name for the first time. "These past weeks have shown me that the best partnerships are built on mutual respect, shared goals, and the courage to face challenges together. Will you join our family officially?" Before Marcus could answer, Cathar rushed from the visitors section and hugged both of them. "Please say yes, Dr. Chen. We need you." Marcus looked at this remarkable woman who had rediscovered her strength, and at this brave young boy who had been wise enough to ask for help. He thought about the thousands of Villani families who would now keep their homes, because someone had been willing to try new approaches. "Yes," he said simply, "I would be honored to be part of your family." The council chamber erupted in celebration, but Marcus realized the real victory was not in saving the colonies or gaining acceptance from the elders. The real victory was in discovering that families are not just born, they can be chosen, built, and strengthened by love, trust, and shared commitment to making life better for others. 6 months later, as Marcus watched Nalish teach a mixed group of human and Villani engineers her new collaborative methods, he smiled. Cathar was right. Humans were good at bringing people together. But the Villani had taught him something too, that true leadership means helping others become the best versions of themselves. Their marriage had become a symbol throughout the galaxy, proof that different species could not only coexist, but could create something beautiful together. And it all started with one young alien asking for help and one human willing to say yes.